Welcome to the Daily Objective. It is day 56 of the war in Israel. I'm joined by Mark Pellegrino, and I will give a little bit of a news update because it is a news-heavy day. So yesterday there was a terrorist attack in Jerusalem. The reason for these news updates was that I think people probably, good people can be forgiven for not wanting to follow the news in the way it's reported in Western media. And I don't know how many of our viewers who do follow this on Western media actually heard about the terrorist attack yesterday, but there was a shooting in Jerusalem. 4 people were killed. There were 2 terrorists. Luckily, there were, uh, in a sense, there were also armed Israelis, including a soldier who was had like a the weekend off, or not the weekend, it was a weekday, but a couple of days off, who was actually in Gaza and had time off and happened to be there. So yeah, and of course that was during the ceasefire, but these were terrorists who are associated with Hamas. The ceasefire is now over. Hamas um, went back to firing rockets, and of course Hamas leads the way in this conflict. So what they decide is what happens. But then Israel is now engaging as well. Another interesting story that came out in the Wall Street Journal is that Israel is planning to assassinate the leaders of Hamas after the war, and not now, in order to not harm the negotiations. Look, I don't like this report, Mark. I like knowing stuff, but there are things that I'd rather not know. I'd rather find out after it happens. I'd rather it happens and then I read about it in the Wall Street Journal or wherever, rather than me hearing these plans. I promise you, even though ideologically there's a difference between them. Hamas leaders read the Wall Street Journal, so yeah, they know this. I mean, I guess they would assume this is coming anyway, but I don't see why this needs to come out in this way. I understand uh it's a complicated thing to do because you're acting in countries that are not going to be happy about it, but yeah, I'd rather see it
Yeah,
happen.
too freaking bad. I'm just upset that it's happened. It's been postponed to the end of whatever that means with respect to this conflict, because who knows if it's going to end. Those guys should be meeting Allah right now.
Yeah, and they should have met him a long time ago, and then this
Indeed, it blows my mind that these people have been ahead of this organization for as long as they have. They should be resting peaceably at the bottom of the sea somewhere.
By the way, your video is lagging for me, Daniel. I don't know if you see that as well, if there's anything you can do about it, but yeah. Um, well,
Oh,
anyway, let's get to today's topic. So all right, we're gonna talk about yeah, Mark, I was thinking, you can add to your Twitter bio expert on Owen Jones, because this guy has been the topic of conversation on this channel more than I'd like him to be, but he is back again now, and uh probably not for the last time, but this time it's in a certain context. So I want to read out what he tweeted, and then get your take on it. So he tweeted, "Here's a little statement from me. I'm taking legal advice about potential legal action against a number of people. I won't be responding to individual statements for legal reasons. There was a time when I would never have imagined taking such a step. It's my view that everyone has the right to criticize me and my views, passionately, robustly, vehemently even. That doesn't extend to saying things which are not only untrue, but which are seriously dangerous. In the last few days, it is clear that some of my harshest critics have decided they can say anything and everything about me, however extreme, however baseless, without consequence. There are consequences for me, however: my work, the things I believe in, the implication for those who believe the same things, and the physical safety of both me and my loved ones. This isn't an abstract fear. One man has been sentenced for threatening to kill me. I've been repeatedly targeted by far right extremists in the streets. and I was beaten up by a far-right extremist and his accomplices. My friends were attacked while defending me, underlining they are at risk too, and I have a duty of care to those I love. I'm not going to comment further for now, but I hope that message is clear to those considering behaving in a similar fashion. Mark, your thoughts on that?
Well, can you, first of all, is my sound okay or am I lagging?
Oh no, the sound has been good all along. The video is lagging a little bit.
Should I cut my video out? Or are you okay with
Um,
my lagging face?
no, yeah, I think people want to see you, whether it's in still
Okay.
images or video.
Okay, cool. Well, first of all, given this guy's record for honesty and integrity, I doubt pretty much everything he's saying. Um, so whether somebody's been arrested for threatening him with death, whether he's been beaten up in the streets and his friends have been beaten up trying to help him, I seriously doubt any of that's happening. If so, I want to see the receipts, number one. I want to see the hospital bills. I want to see, a guy like that would put something like a beating in the street on film. His
So
friends would film that as well. The fact that is there documentary evidence of
yeah,
this?
yeah, this happened a few years ago. This was in the news.
Oh, a few years ago, but he's acting like it's now, but it was a few years ago.
Well, I mean, in this sense, he's putting it in the context of, look, this has happened before. I'm worried about it happening again. Now, from what I remember, this far right extremist thing, I don't know that that's actually been confirmed. You know, people, it's a somewhat, there are violent elements of society here. So I don't know that that's known, that it was an attack specifically on him because of his views, but he was attacked. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I've seen the same thing happen to people who were against his perspective. I've seen them attacked by Islamicists in the street. They've spent time in jail for crying out loud for some of the things that they've said. This guy's not spending time in jail for putting fake news out there, for allying himself with a terrorist organization like Hamas, which is exactly what he's doing. He should be in jail if he's judging if he's going to be judged by the same standard that he's applying to others. What was that guy's name? Tommy, what's his name? Who was going
Tommy
on about
Robinson.
Islamic? Yeah, that guy got beat up in the streets multiple times. That guy spent time in jail. Regardless of whether you think he was right or wrong, good or bad, it's immaterial. He was definitely on the opposite side of the fence from this guy, but he got terrorized by people, and he got zero sympathy, I think, from anybody on the left. The left is all about violence. And I think I wrote back to that guy when I saw that tweet. I wrote something like, "Yeah, it's true. It's part of the right is now adopting what's endemic to the left. They're all about violence now." But I also told him, one of my friends was one of your critics, and I didn't see you coming on to stepping into his defense when your hordes of zombie-like followers attacked him. So he once again, his sympathies are only for himself as a victim, and he doesn't care how many victims he leaves in his wake.
So a couple of interesting things. Well, I'll actually get to the more interesting part later, but one of the, somebody replied to his tweet with hashtag shitweasel, which is
I
something
saw
Mark
that.
likes to call him, and then he
It's a
replied with,
perfect description.
and then he replied with, "This isn't defamatory, and you're well within your rights to call me a shitweasel all you wish." Smiley face. But here's what is less funny about this, which is the last sentence in his tweet, which is, "I'm not going to comment further for now, but I hope that message is clear to those considering behaving in a similar fashion." Who are those
Correct.
considering behaving in a similar fashion? Doing what? Attacking him on the street? Of course, they should be afraid. Criticizing him, saying things that then maybe somebody else will hear and decide to attack him on the street. Well, then everything he says is the kind of thing that incites, violence against Jews. Everything he's been saying for the last 2 months. So, this is something that they've been doing recently, and I'll get to another relevant tweet on that. But this is, that last sentence is much scarier than it might seem at first glance.
No, it's certainly a veiled threat. It's certainly his way of trying to use the law to work to silence the dissenting voices that don't like what he has to say. He's clearly a guy with a double standard.
Yeah, and again, we discussed his his modern day Holocaust denying ways, which is a couple days ago we discussed that video where he goes through the what he saw, and in the video of the atrocities of Hamas, and how actually it's supposedly not as bad, or there's no proof it's as bad as Israel says. And I saw some uh, leader of some Muslim organization or website in the UK quote tweeting him and saying, "Well, Owen Jones confirms, having seen the video, this, and that, no beheading of babies, no rape, and so on." So, and this is how the modern day Holocaust denial industry works. One person says something, then another person responds by doubling down, by using this person as an expert. Owen Jones does this on his Twitter all the time. If you go through his Twitter, somebody said that Israel did something, and then Owen Jones, reports it as news, and then gives his commentary on it, which of course makes it worse.
I mean, that's pro-Palestinian trolls online 101. That's exactly what they do. They take information that's been passed around in their echo chamber, and they magnify it over and over and over again. And they're not wrong for presuming that repeating a lie often enough makes it the truth in the minds of many people, because that is exactly what I see out there in the world. These very same fake memes become the information source for other people picking up on it and passing it along. It's a social contagion right now, this pro-Palestinian movement, this pro-Hamas movement. Did you see the TikToks? All the crazy kids on TikTok now reading the Quran and thinking they're special and open-minded for reading the Quran and discussing the Quran on TikTok?
I didn't see that. I'm not on TikTok, and you're not selling it to me. It's not something I
that's not a selling point. It's more an expression of horror that these kids actually think they're open-minded and decent human beings by expanding their horizons into the acceptance of a terrorist organization and the animating spiritual and philosophical ideas behind it. So I think it's scary. It's a horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and these kids are the product of the culture around them. Whatever they're being taught at school, whatever they hear in the media, whatever intellectuals and influencers like Owen Jones tell them, and what politicians do. Which brings me to the next point, which is a tweet. We discussed this a little bit on the show, or I brought it up. So this was a tweet by yours truly when there was an election in Newham Council, which is Newham is one of the 32 boroughs of London, and this is so the Newham by-election result was an independent beat the Labour Party to take a seat. This was an independent who had quit the Labour Party in protest of them not, these are my words, not being pro-Hamas enough. So I quote tweeted a tweet that reported the result. I said, "A supporter of Islamic terrorism wins an election in Newham, about as shocking as the Palestinians voting for Hamas." Now, the group of Newham independents who are now in control of Newham Council, they replied to me saying, "We would politely ask you to delete your libelous tweet. Sophia has never and will never support terrorism. She does, however, abhor the killing of all innocents." And of course, my point, as I've made it often, daily, pretty much, is if you call for a ceasefire while the people who committed the October 7th atrocities are still alive and well and ready to fight and armed, then you are on the side of Islamic terrorism. You might not put it in those words because that's going to get you in trouble, but that is what you are. And so, but again, this is a political group with some political power in one borough of London, and when they tell you, look, uh, uh, citizen, we want you not to criticize us, or else, because that's what's implied. When somebody says it's libelous, it means that they think there's a legal case against you, in that. So
And yeah, you don't have a First Amendment over there, so you can't be protected for such things. That is chilling. So I hope that sent a chill down your spine. What are you going to do about it?
nothing.
I got to tell you, I see. I got to tell you, I would feel like I have to poke the bear a little bit. That's just me. I'm not trying to tempt you, but I
No,
feel like I
I
have to
was
poke the bear.
I was thinking about it. I was talking to some friends a couple days ago who said, I kind of had a reply in my mind, and they said, "Well, why aren't you tweeting at it?" Look, yeah, uh, we're putting ourselves out there enough that, yeah, if they want to find us, they can, and yeah, look, we're talking about it here. I'm sure the Newham Independents are regular viewers of this show, so but if not, yeah, maybe they do deserve a reply from me.
What
But
is it? What is the district called again? Newham.
Newham, yeah.
Newham. Hey, Newham, you guys suck. I just thought I'd throw that out there. Will that get you in trouble? Can you get in trouble for
That'll
something
get
I
you in
say?
trouble next time you're in the UK. They might
Nice. Well, they're going to have to there's going to take a few officers to bring me down. I hate to say, and judging from what I've seen of your officers over there, they're not too savvy.
I hope you're right. Again, that's this is a it's a scary moment where a group of politicians, even if it's local, and even if it's in the most Muslim borough or region in all of the UK, it is scary that something like this can go ahead. And again, it goes pretty much unchallenged. There is, you hear some support for Israel, but the fact that this is such a mainstream view should terrify everybody.
Hey, you should quote tweet what they sent you, that threat. Quote tweet it. I would magnify it, but quote tweet, this is a government that threatening me for speaking out against the government. That's totalitarian. You could come up with a better way of phrasing it, but I mean, now you're not lying. You're not. They are threatening you. It is a veiled threat, not so veiled threat, and you should publicize that. That's evil. That's disgusting. That's like Banana Republic shit, man.
Yeah. All right. I'm sold. I mean, we are on a show and we have the reality show, but I will do that. And yeah, everybody watching at Razi Ginsburg on Twitter, you can retweet it when it's done. Thank you, Bonnie.
Yeah, expose these criminals. Expose these criminals.
Thank you, Bonnie, for the super chat. Bonnie also says Newham isn't much different from many municipalities in the U.S. passing ceasefire resolutions. That's another thing I don't really understand because the local government of a borough in London or municipality in the United States.
Oakland. In Oakland, yeah, we had this in Oakland recently.
Yeah, that has no power. All it has is to it's a statement. It's using government time and resources to actually, it's better than when they do anything that does matter, but it's using resources just to make a statement. It's a statement that should, the fact that it's made should scare people, but it doesn't actually have any meaningful impact.
No one expects anything more from the City Council of Oakland, California. Trust me, it's a rogues gallery.
Yeah, although the fact that again, the fact that there are more and more such places is symbolic of, I think, where we're going as a culture, both in America and
Yep.
in Israel, or in America and in Europe, in the UK. So Yeah, we have reason to be afraid, Mark. I think this is, you know, we're living
Yeah,
in.
unfortunately, you're not wrong.
Um, well, I think we've covered the topic extensively. I mean, we can always talk a little bit more about Owen Jones. I don't know.
Why? He's taking
Um,
up too much of our time already.
well, the reason to talk about the Owen Joneses of the world is because of the fact that they have this power. I mentioned a couple of days ago when we talked about him that he, when he quote tweeted something I said, his whole army came after me, and if you look at the replies there, I don't remember how many there are, but there are some scary ones. And by the way, if you do look at that as well, that was something like a month ago. A bunch of his followers also suggested that he sue me. So yeah, this is becoming a weapon for them, and again, nobody's done it yet, and we don't know where that's going to go, but it's interesting, yeah, it could be successful. Could be that Owen
Well,
Jones sues somebody for saying, stating the fact that he is a modern day Holocaust denier, stating the fact that he supports Hamas, uh, or anything else that is a fact that can clearly be seen, if he doesn't explicitly say it, can be read easily between the lines. And yeah, he can come after us and sue us. So
unfathomable to me, but we are living in very strange times.
well, at least we are covering the strange times here on ARCUK's YouTube channel. Oh, this is a question for you that we just got in the super chat. Frank Grail asks, Mark, will Gal Gadot get another acting job?
Oh, I think she will. I think she's very marketable. Hollywood, in the end, is about the bottom line of making profits, and I think people like her movies. She's beautiful. She's good at what she does. So why not? And
Yeah,
if
in
they don't want to hire
Hollywood.
her,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
I know there's alternative sources of media out there that would.
But
Go
also,
ahead.
Mark, Hollywood, I hear voices from actors and so on. Like Hollywood is not as left wing on this issue as they are on other things. I think in part because there are a large number of Jews there. Am I is that correct? Is that a correct reading of the situation?
Well, so they say. I mean, I certainly get criticized for being pro-Israel by people who think I'm shilling to my Jewish producer friends. So it's like there's definitely that perception that it's a industry dominated by Jewish people. That may be true, but it's irrelevant. I mean, I think Gal's going to be fine. Daniel said Gal Gadot on the Daily Wire. When yeah, I don't think their films are good enough for her to go there. I think there's just I'm just saying there's tons of alternative media out there that that she could find a job pretty much anywhere she wanted.
Actually, Frank says in the free chat, but I think it's a good enough, just picturing it as he says it, good enough to be read, even though it's not a super chat. Gal Gadot should play Dominique in a new version of the Fountainhead. I think I can see that. Yeah, that's not bad.
I'd buy that for $1.
Thank you, Ginger, for the generous super chat. And Mark, we do have a few minutes left, but I suggest that we do use those minutes to prepare for the reality show, which is coming up in 5 minutes, to fix whatever is going on with your video, although it seems fixed now. But yeah, we are going to be live in a few minutes. The topic of the reality show today, the title is London cancels Hanukkah. Uh, that should be
Oh,
interesting.
really? London canceled
Yeah.
Hanukkah?
Well, if you want to know what that means, stay tuned. I mean, you're on the show, so you will stay tuned, but for the audience as well, thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you in less than 5 minutes.
Peace.